Breaking news into CBS Sports HQ, Caitlin Clark took to social media to announce that her season is over. Clark hasn't played since July 15th after suffering a groin injury. She was limited to just 13 games this season. The Fever are 13-15 without her this year and just a game and a half ahead of the Sparks for that final playoff spot.
Okay, let's just say it. The WNBA is in full-blown panic mode right now. Fans aren't just annoyed, they're straight up demanding Caitlin Clark packs her bags and heads overseas after another painful groin injury has benched her. Yeah, you heard that right. The very same fans who packed those stadiums are now telling her to leave the league entirely. So, the million-dollar question, is Europe's call getting louder than the WNBA's? Seriously, do you think Caitlin should actually make that jump?
The WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance would drop once they announced that she's out, which is also so ironic that they announced it the day that football season starts. Anyway, this is not only a huge blow for the Fever, but also for the entire WNBA. Caitlin was out with an injury back in June. Viewership dropped over 50% across the league. That's the kind of effect that she has on things. And it seems like from her post and how they announced it, Caitlin was the one that was trying so hard to get back on the court. She has traveled to every single away game. She's always meeting with fans, taking photos, signing autographs, doing all of the things because she knows how many people come out specifically to see her. But I'm really interested to see what viewership and attendance looks like now that it's official that she's done. The hope is gone. Sending my best to Caitlin. I have no doubts that she will be back stronger than ever, hopefully next season.
Okay, let me break this down for you because this whole situation, it's absolutely wild. Caitlin Clark, the player who literally sold out arenas, boosted ratings, and single-handedly kept half the franchises afloat, has now become the unwilling face of a movement the WNBA is absolutely terrified of. Fans are openly telling her to pack her bags and go play in Europe. And trust me, this isn't just some fringe internet chatter, it's getting serious. Why Europe? Because that's where the real money is. That's where players are treated like royalty, folks. We're talking first-class flights, not some cramped economy middle seat. And we're talking multi-million-dollar contracts, not the be grateful for your 80 grand lecture the WNBA often doles out. Think about it. Players in Russia, Turkey, Italy have pulled in more in one overseas season than they could make in 5 years back home. Let me be clear, Caitlin Clark does not need the WNBA to survive. The WNBA, on the other hand, desperately needs her. And now, with this latest groin injury sidelining her, fans are finally stepping back and realizing something huge. Maybe it's time she protects her body, her career, and her future by heading overseas.
In the morning as well, because Caitlin Clark fans, I want to say Fever fans, but at this point, so many of you, including myself, has lost faith in everybody involved in leadership and in management and coaching. We've just sort of, I got to tell you, I don't have any more real good things to say about the Fever organization as of now, because I will contend that they have known this was going to happen.
Now let's dive into this groin injury, because honestly, this is where the absolute frustration kicks into overdrive. The Fever front office, they've handled this entire situation like a complete and utter clown show. First it was day-to-day, then making progress, then light practice, and then out of nowhere, boom. Suddenly she's out for the entire season. You're probably thinking, wait, what? And you'd be right. Fans aren't stupid. They saw her running drills and moving perfectly fine in shoot-arounds. Yet the official word was always this vague, wishy-washy nonsense. This is exactly why people are furious. It's not just the injury itself, it's the outright lies. Transparency with this franchise, it simply doesn't exist. The front office strung everyone along, hyping up her return and selling tickets, only to finally admit what we all suspected: she wasn't coming back. So now, the obvious question looms: why on earth should Caitlin Clark trust her career to an organization that clearly doesn't value honesty, or more importantly, her long-term health?
She will miss the remainder of the W season. Clark hasn't played since July 15th, dealing with a groin injury. S.A., your reaction to Caitlin being shut down?
Let's find out what the rest of the WNBA is going to do in terms of popularity. Yep. You've been saying up and down that, whether tacitly or directly, that, she's getting too much shine, even though we respect and what have you. We deserve our shine. Well, now's a perfect opportunity for you to prove that. If not, acknowledge her impact on the financial aspects that she brings to the table, adopt the mentality that a rising tide lifts all boats, and learn to have an elevated level of appreciation for what she has brought to the game, and assist her in making the league even more profitable.
Okay, now picture this for a second. Caitlin Clark absolutely dominating in Spain, Italy, or Turkey, where basketball arenas are absolutely packed with thousands of screaming fans who treat women's basketball like the elite sport it is. She wouldn't be dealing with those ridiculous refs who let her get hacked on every single possession. She wouldn't be forced to carry an entire roster of role players who consistently fold under pressure. And she definitely wouldn't have to listen to teammates downplaying her injuries while simultaneously depending on her name just to fill their arenas. No, in Europe, Caitlin wouldn't just be a star. She'd be the undisputed centerpiece. She'd be paid exactly like the massive draw she is, treated like the global icon she's become, and fiercely protected by a system that genuinely understands and values her. This is precisely why fans are screaming, "Leave. Get out of there." They're saying, don't waste another precious prime year in a league that clearly isn't protecting you. And honestly, it's really hard to argue with that.
Difficult to believe that the Indiana Fever are just now realizing that, hey, she's done for the year. I think this has been done. I told you guys, I put out a video 2 weeks ago saying, man, she's done. She's done. Once they put out the article, when she was supposed to return versus the Minnesota Lynx, supposedly, and then the Scott Agneses and all them start talking about she suffered a bone bruise in Phoenix, I told y'all it was.
Okay, let's just be real for a second. The WNBA is in full-blown DEFCON 1 panic mode right now. Make no mistake, they know that without Caitlin Clark, half of those casual fans who finally tuned in, poof, gone. The massive TV deals, they signed those because of her. All those attendance spikes, her. Every single social media clip blowing up, all because of her. Her groin injury isn't just some personal setback, it's an economic crisis for the entire league. The mere thought of her leaving for Europe, that's their absolute nightmare scenario. Because if fans keep demanding it, and if she even hints at considering it, the WNBA's leverage in any negotiation goes straight out the window, instantly. But hold up, this isn't just about one injury, folks. This is about a disturbing pattern of how Caitlin has been treated since day one. The constant hard fouls, the shocking lack of whistles, the cheap shots from players who then admit they were targeting her. Think about it. The Sophie Cunningham elbow, the Lexi Hull hits, the Bria Hartley nonsense. The list is not short. And where was the league? Silent. Where was the commissioner? Nowhere to be found. Instead of protecting the player who sells out arenas, the league just let her get bruised up night after night. And now, with a groin injury that completely takes her out, fans are finally saying enough is enough. If the league won't protect her, then maybe Europe will. And get this, the craziest part is just how loud the fans have gotten. Social media is absolutely flooded with posts screaming things like, "Go to Europe, Caitlin, save yourself. Don't waste your career here." What's even wilder, some of these posts are coming from Fever fans themselves, people who've supported this team through years of mediocrity, but they finally hit their breaking point. They're realizing the only reason they even cared was Caitlin, and now they don't want to see her stuck in a system that clearly doesn't care back. And let's be honest, when fans start moving the conversation like this, it's incredibly powerful. Just weeks ago, nobody in the WNBA office would have ever imagined Caitlin Clark to Europe being a trending topic, but here we are. And here's where it gets brutal for the WNBA. The money comparison. Overseas, Caitlyn could realistically earn anywhere from $1 million to a whopping $5 million depending on endorsements, contracts, and appearances. In the WNBA, base salary caps out under $120,000, with bonuses and sponsorships maybe pushing it a bit higher. Yes, she's already raking in millions from her Nike, Gatorade, Wilson, and Panini deals, but that's exactly the point. She doesn't need the WNBA check. She could easily play in Europe, cash even bigger checks, and keep her endorsement empire rolling along just fine. The WNBA loses, not Caitlyn. And let's not ignore the incredibly awkward locker room dynamic. Caitlyn Clark hasn't exactly had the warmest welcome from veterans in this league. From shady quotes to subtle digs, it's been clear that some players actually resent the spotlight she brings. But in Europe, they'd welcome her with open arms because they know she'd elevate the entire league's visibility. Over there, she's an asset, not a threat. And think about it, groin injuries aren't something you just play through. They linger, they get worse if mismanaged. And if you think the WNBA is properly equipped to manage that, you honestly haven't been paying attention. Overseas clubs spend serious money on top-tier trainers and medical staff because they know their investment depends on it. Caitlyn getting world-class rehab in Europe might actually be the smartest long-term move for her future. For the WNBA, this is a PR nightmare of epic proportions. Imagine the headlines. Caitlyn Clark leaves WNBA for Europe. That headline alone would undo years of progress in trying to brand the league as the best women's basketball in the world. Because if the best player says no thanks, what does that say about everyone else? And fans wouldn't blame her. They'd cheer her on. They'd live stream her games at 3 a.m. just to watch. That's how loyal her fan base is. They're not WNBA fans, folks. They are Caitlyn Clark fans. And that right there is the core problem. The ripple effects of Caitlyn Clark's groin injury are hitting harder than anyone expected, and it's not just Fever fans or even WNBA fans talking anymore. This conversation has jumped into mainstream sports shows, podcasts, and even overseas outlets. People are openly debating whether Caitlyn should pack her bags and head across the ocean because the WNBA clearly isn't giving her the environment she deserves. That's not just chatter, that's serious pressure. The type of pressure that can absolutely change career. Think about this for a second. When Caitlyn Clark steps on the court, the arena sells out. When she doesn't play, tickets already bought are still scanned because fans just want a glimpse of her on the bench. When she's injured, social media explodes with updates and rumors. No other player has had this kind of gravitational pull in years. Yet the league and her own team have failed at the one job that matters most, protecting their investment. And that's where fans feel utterly betrayed. They're not saying move to Europe because they want her gone. They're saying it because they want her safe, valued, and genuinely supported. And it's incredibly hard to argue with it. Look at how European leagues treat stars in Turkey. Players like Diana Taurasi and Brianna Stewart were treated like absolute celebrities. In Russia, players made more money than NBA bench warmers. In Italy and Spain, women's basketball is a staple sport with huge following. Over there, Caitlyn wouldn't be questioned or targeted. She'd be celebrated. Instead of enduring teammates making sly comments or opponents trying to make a name off cheap fouls, she'd be the golden ticket. Fans would literally line up for miles just to see her warm up. That's the diff. This groin injury just makes the argument louder. It's not just about money, it's about trust. The Fever and the WNBA told fans she was day to day, then week to week, then making progress, and then out of nowhere, she's done for the season. Do they honestly think fans can't see through that? Do they think people forgot about watching her sprinting in warm-ups? This is why people are furious. The transparency simply isn't there, and once trust is broken, it's incredibly hard to repair. That's why fans are now pointing to Europe, not as some distant dream, but as a very real solution. Now picture this nightmare scenario for the WNBA. Caitlyn Clark signs with a European powerhouse in 2026. Suddenly, ESPN highlights are showing her in a Turkish jersey, draining threes in front of 15,000 screaming fans. Social media clips of her buzzer beaters go viral worldwide. Brands follow her overseas because she's still the biggest draw. And meanwhile, WNBA ratings dip because the one player holding casual interest is gone. That's what the league is terrified of. That's why the panic is 100. You can already see the cracks. Comment sections are full of fans saying things like, "Why risk it here?" or "Europe would actually treat her like the star she is." And these aren't just trolls, these are real supporters, people who bought jerseys, tickets, and streaming package. When your own paying customers are telling your star to leave, that's not just a crisis, it's a catastrophic failure, and the WNBA has nobody to blame but themselves. Caitlyn's groin injury might just go down as the ultimate tipping point, because now fans have a rock-solid excuse to push the Europe narrative harder than ever. They can point to the lack of care, the vague updates, the constant hard fouls, the zero protections. They can argue that staying in the WNBA is risking her long-term health. And for once, people are actually listening. When former players, analysts, and even overseas journalists start chiming in, you know this isn't just a hot take, it's becoming a legitimate, undeniable conversation. And let's not forget the bigger picture. The WNBA's entire growth strategy for the past 2 years has revolved almost entirely around Caitlin Clark. She was the centerpiece. The TV deals, the attendance spikes, the expansion hype, it was all tied to her. Now imagine losing her. The league doesn't have another Caitlin waiting in the wings. Angel Reese has fans, sure, but her draw isn't even in the same universe. Paige Buckers is still in college. Juju Watkins will be big, but not Caitlin big. You remove Clark from the equation, and the league slides right back to where it was. Niche coverage, empty seats, and casual indifference. And here's the ultimate irony. Overseas leagues don't even need Caitlin Clark to survive. They'd absolutely love to have her, but they're already stable. The WNBA, they are completely dependent on her. That colossal imbalance of power is precisely why fans are so quick to say, "Go to Europe," because they know Caitlin has options. She's not trapped. She's not financially dependent on a WNBA check. She can walk away tomorrow and still be one of the most marketable athletes in the world. That's why this groin injury isn't just an injury, it's leverage. And leverage is everything in sports. Players like LeBron James, Tom Brady, Serena Williams, they all understood leverage. Caitlin Clark is now firmly in that category. She has the power to reshape not just her own career, but the league's entire future. If she even hints at Europe, sponsors and networks will absolutely panic. If she stays silent, fans will keep pushing the idea even louder. Either way, the WNBA is cornered. And all of this because they failed to protect the one player they simply could not afford to lose. But here's the bigger question, the one everyone is asking, would Caitlin actually do it? Would she really leave the WNBA for Europe? It's hard to say for sure. She's loyal to her fans. She knows her platform here is massive, and she's already a household name in America. But loyalty only goes so far when your body's on the line, and fans are already reminding her. Loyalty is a two-way street. If the league won't protect her, why should she protect the league? That's the intense debate raging right now. This groin injury might heal. She'll come back stronger, no doubt. But the damage isn't just physical, it's reputation. The Fever organization and the WNBA leadership have shown they're either incapable or unwilling to be transparent. That won't be forgotten overnight, and it certainly won't stop fans from asking the hard question, is Caitlin Clark's future actually in this league, or is the writing already on the wall for a European chapter? And if she did go, don't kid yourself, the fans would follow. They'd stream games at 3 a.m. They'd buy jerseys from overseas teams. They'd travel to watch her live. That's how incredibly strong her fan base is. It's not the WNBA's fan base, it's Caitlin's fan base. And that's what makes this so incredibly dangerous for the league, because they don't own her popularity, they're just borrowing it. And borrowing always runs out. The panic is undeniably real. The groin injury was the spark, and now the fire is spreading like wildfire. Fans want Caitlin Clark in Europe. The WNBA is desperate to keep her, and Caitlin herself, she's holding all the cards. Caitlin Clark's next move could redefine the sport forever. Europe or WNBA, that's the question. And right now, after everything we've seen, Europe is looking better every single day. Fans are demanding change, and they are louder than ever. Whether the WNBA listens, well, that's another story entirely. So here's my question to you. If you were Caitlin Clark, would you risk another season in the WNBA? Or would you take the money, the safety, and the respect in Europe? That's the debate, and it's only getting hotter. The WNBA is officially on the clock, and Caitlin Clark, she's got the whole world watching. If you're fired up about this story, drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep those notifications on. I'll keep bringing you updates every time this Caitlin Clark saga takes another wild turn. Don't miss